Rena sat beneath the glowing wreaths of the cafe window, her fingers trembling slightly over the rim of her hot chocolate cup, even though the drink had been untouched for nearly 15 minutes. It was Christmas Eve, and the street outside glittered with golden lights, busy crowds, and laughter. Inside, warm carols played softly overhead, and the air smelled of cinnamon, frosting, and the promise of happy conversations. Yet she sat there alone, trying not to show the ache behind her smile as she watched her blind date walk out the cafe door just moments ago. He hadn't even taken off his coat, just glanced at her face, realized she could not hear him or speak the way he expected, and immediately invented an excuse about a work emergency. He said it loudly, as if volume could make her understand, and then he left. He didn't even try to communicate. He just looked disappointed, as though her silence was a burden, as though she had misled him by simply being who she was. The moment the bell on the door jingled behind him, she swallowed her breath sharply, forced herself to stare at the holiday decorations on the wall, instead of the pitying eyes of strangers, and pretended she was fine. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected miracles, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Rena was born deaf, and though she had spent her childhood learning sign language, reading lips, and growing used to a world where words moved too fast to capture, she always tried her best to meet people halfway. Tonight was supposed to be different. Her coworker had insisted on setting her up with a kind, intelligent man who would definitely appreciate her heart. But as she sat alone at the table, watching couples laugh and children play with candy cane ornaments, she wondered if kindness had become a rare gift, one you had to beg life to receive. The cafe's lively chatter faded into a blur of moving lips. She could not decipher, leaving her in a quiet universe of her own. She traced a heart on the foggy window with her fingertip, then wiped it away before anyone noticed. She didn't want pity. She just wanted to be seen. A group of friends behind her took pictures with the giant red and green Christmas tree. Their laughter made their bodies shake with joy, their eyes crinkling, their hands gesturing excitedly. Rena watched them for a moment, wishing she could step into conversations so effortlessly. She often wondered how sound felt in the bones, if laughter vibrated differently, if music had colors inside it. She never envied hearing people, not really. What she envied was how naturally they belonged to one another, how warming it must be to connect without having to explain yourself first. She reached into her bag to pull out a pen and small notebook she carried everywhere, mostly for communicating with strangers who had the patience to try. She wrote down a few words she wished she could say out loud. "Im enough, im worth knowing, im not broken." She stared at them for a moment, and then closed the notebook, resting it over her heart like a blanket of quiet courage. Her chest rose and fell slowly as she prepared to leave the cafe, imagining herself going home to her small apartment that had no Christmas tree, no family dropping by, no voice to greet her at the door. She told herself it would be okay, the same way she had said it every year. But just as she stood up and reached for her coat, a gentle tug on her sleeve stopped her. Startled, she turned around to see two little girls staring up at her with bright hazel eyes. They were twins, small enough that their puffy coats nearly swallowed their arms, and each held a tiny gingerbread cookie shaped like a snowman. Their cheeks were rosy from the cold, and they looked like two snow angels accidentally dropped into a cafe. Before Rena could react, both girls raised their hands and signed slowly but clearly, "Can we join?" Rena blinked, stunned. Someone was signing. Two little children she had never met had walked over to her table and asked her to stay. She instinctively signed back, asking if they knew sign language. The twins grinned excitedly, nearly talking over each other with their hands, signing that their mom taught them. They had seen Rena sitting alone and wanted to sit with her because, in their words, no one should be lonely on Christmas. The honesty in their expressions overwhelmed her. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. For the first time that evening, her heart felt full instead of hollow. Before she could invite them to sit, a woman rushed toward them from across the cafe. She looked about 35, elegant but tired, wearing a long charcoal coat and a red scarf. Her hair was slightly messy, like she had hurried after her kids all night. She approached the table with a gentle but embarrassed smile, signing apologies and speaking at the same time so hearing customers wouldn't think she was ignoring anyone. She apologized for the twins bothering Rena, but signed that she hoped they hadn't upset her. The woman's signing was fluid and graceful, like a language she loved, not merely learned. Rena shook her head, smiling genuinely for the first time that evening, and signed that they were absolutely welcome. The woman introduced herself as Mary Ann, a single mother who worked as a children's book illustrator from home. The twins were named Ella and Lucy, two bundles of energy who believed everyone was a friend waiting to be discovered. Mary Ann signed slowly, aware of Rena's ability to read lips as well, making sure nothing was rushed. There was patience in her movements, not pity. She didn't exaggerate her gestures or treat Rena like she was fragile. She simply communicated with respect. And that was something Rena hadn't felt in a long time. They all sat down together, and what began as silent companionship turned into a vibrant exchange of hands, expressions, and laughter. The twins showed Rena how they signed the word gingerbread incorrectly on purpose to make their mother laugh, and Rena showed them how to sign snowflake. Ella kept signing that she liked Rena's sparkly earrings, while Lucy insisted that Rena's handwriting must be pretty like snow. Mary Ann watched her daughters interact with warmth that softened her entire face. Every so often she would sign something to Rena, then pause and wait for her to reply. The conversation wasn't quick, but it was meaningful. With every sentence, Rena felt less like a stranger in the world. Hours passed without Rena realizing. The cafe began to empty, but the little table near the window remained alive with movement, expression, and laughter that didn't need a sound to exist. When their hot chocolate mugs ran empty and the twins' cookie napkins were crumpled like wrapping paper after gifts, Mary Ann signed something that made Rena's breath catch in her chest. She signed, "Thank you for spending time with us. My girls were so excited to make a new friend tonight. You made them feel seen." Rena lowered her gaze, blinking away unexpected tears. She signed back, "They did the same for me." Mary Ann hesitated for a moment, then reached into her purse and took out a small card featuring a snow-covered bookshop with two little girls holding stacks of books. It was one of her illustrations, whimsical and cozy, like something out of a dream. On the back she wrote her phone number, then signed, "If you ever want to join us for book readings or Christmas crafts, we'd love to invite you. It doesn't have to be today only." Her eyes held no expectations, just sincerity. Rena nodded slowly, clutching the card as though it were a priceless gift. She had shown up tonight hoping for a connection, and though she didn't find romance, she found something deeper, belonging. She found people who didn't see her deafness as a wall but as a different way of being alive. When the cafe finally announced closing time, they all put on their coats and scarves. The twins hugged Rena tightly, signing "Merry Christmas," with hands that sparkled like lights. Mary Ann waved softly and walked toward the snowy sidewalk with them, the three of them disappearing into the night like a small, loving constellation following its own quiet orbit. Rena stepped outside, breathing in the cool winter air. Snowflakes landed gently on her coat, melting like tiny whispers only she could feel. She didn't hear the carols playing from shop speakers or the laughter of people passing by, yet none of that mattered. She felt a warmth inside her that sound could not create. She touched the card in her pocket and smiled to herself. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel alone. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Spread stories of hope, empathy, and kindness to others who need them.